Hi, this is Jack Downs with a little run through of both the Dummy to Reality exercise 4 and then first some feedback on the earlier Dummy to Reality exercises. Of course, this is for page design students as either a refresher or because you may have missed class. First, let's go ahead and look at some things that have been going wrong with the Dummy to Reality stuff. Here I have what would be a kind of normal setup for the Dummy to Reality. First of all, let me write ahead, shall I? I could say Cambodian boy, whoa, pet python, inseparable. Do you notice that I have a red line under the words inseparable? Yet it probably for you, when you've been using InDesign, you haven't been seeing these red lines. In fact, if you look in my copy here, I see it throughout. What does that mean? Obviously, it means that that word is spelled wrong. Inseparable. So you don't have your spell check turned on, probably. That's a big problem if you're writing heads, or actually, you should be on all the time. There's different types of spell check you can use here. Of course, it has a spell check. Go to Edit, go to Spelling. You want dynamic spelling turned on. That's just always on spell check, as opposed to telling it to check the spelling. Okay, that's one issue. Another issue is, of course, your head should be written relatively full. I mean, if a head comes within half to 3/4 of the final column, within, I would say, 4 to 5 characters, okay? And you can't go over, and you can't be dropping the point size of the headline to make it fit in. You work with the words, you rework it. And the secondary headlines would add to the primary headline. Okay, that's an issue. I tell you another issue is, do you have cut lines? Captions, cut lines, same thing, right? That's newspaper talk for captions is cut lines. Do you have them? Where did you get them? There's a file there for you. Use them. Did you edit them? Did you put the photo credit up in the photo credit area? Where do you get the cut? Where do you get that to begin with? There is a cut line file in your library that you can bring out. It's got the styling, it's got the base. You should be using this one and inserting the text into it, or just typing it. You might find it easier just to type the text, because the cut lines that you've been supplied are like super long and really pretty bad. And they got all kinds of extra junk in them. Edit them. Don't use the whole thing. Just use like a sentence, maybe 2 at the most. Yorn Sambath, a 7-year-old Cambodian boy, plays with his female python. Notice, we will do more about captions soon, but notice that it is present tense, like it's happening. He plays with the python. And remember, though we do have a time element that comes later, he plays with it. Why? Because it's kind of like it's happening in front of us. So captions have present tense when they're describing the action in the photo, but yet in his home in whatever village about 20 kilometers south of the capital Phnom Penh, Cambodia, last week. We're just going to always say last week for this stuff, even though it's actually years old. Remember, we're always saying last week. So did you have a cut line there? Are your photo and your headlines, anything that's intruding in the text, is it using the grid of the text? Well, of course it is, because it's a 6-column grid. I can see the grid right there. What if your story is a different grid? What if I've asked you to make it, for instance, 5 sticks? Is that okay? No, it is not. It is not okay. This photo now has to be closed up to the grid and refit, fitting, second choice, and then close back up here, and then brought back up to the top. Wow. Top of the page. Use my arrow. I like using the arrows for just little movements like that. Get it right. Notice that the photo goes up just to the very top of this block, the same level as the headlines, and not beyond. I've seen some people with photos that go up too high. And then the caption is going to have to be close up to. What we have here is essentially a new grid has been created. Everything has ruled by that grid. That includes this headline here too, which I have not written. If it's multiple decks there, it would be. Okay, good. So is this okay now? Well, of course not. I've got all this white space. Remember, you always have to have filled the box. Oh, by the way, how about if for some reason it looked like this? Would that be okay? No. Photos always have to fill the box completely. There should be no white showing. Text has to always fill the box. So I would close it up and try to keep looking at it. Get used to just closing one line at a time. And I would see there's a little gap there. Is that okay? No, it is not. I must be fit across. Everything must align nicely. If in doing this, I end up like this with a, oops, sorry. I had a overset box there. I didn't even realize it. So this is where we would have a gap. That would be a problem. The lines, I don't have the right number of lines. I have to get the right number of lines. Likewise, maybe I say, well, I'll just close it up to here, right? No. I have an overset box. It means all this copy's not fitting in. I did not make it fit properly. That's not right either. Also, you see how I have a little bit of, I'll make it even more obvious. See how I have a little bit of up and down here, up and down here? You know, it's not aligned straight across nicely. If I put a guide on there, I can see that it's very different. These lines are there, but those lines are down there, right? So that's a problem, right? So that's not right either. What else? How about I decide I want to make this photo wider, right? And somehow, probably because I used the wrong fitting choice, or because I just grabbed it and yanked it, it looks like that now. Or I said a bad fitting choice, which would be like fit content to frame, or so in other words, what's wrong? It's a photo. It's filling the box. It's skewed. The X and the Y axis no longer match up. It's skewed. In fact, if I click in there with the direct selection tool and look up here, I see it is now 84% X and Y horizontally and 63% the other way. These numbers have to equal always. That's a skewed photo. It is not a representation of reality anymore. It is like lying. So that would be a problem too. What else? How about in a different layout, I decided I'm not going to have that head there at all anymore, right? And I'm going to take this photo, and it's actually going to go over here, right? And my story is going to start down here, like that. Put my cut line in nicely, bring it across. I haven't fit things up yet, but that's where I'm going. Is that going to work out to be a good layout? No, it is not. Why? I always must be touching the start of the story with a headline. And honestly, even if I did put some little weird headline down here, it would still be pretty bad. Okay, what else? How about, let's do some control. I'm not getting on my control Z's for some reason. That's really weird right now. Well, let's go ahead and go back to where this was here. Let's make it look a little better. Fit content proportionally. And we're going to close that up. And we're going to bring that to the middle more. And I'm going to, that's all pretty good. And we'll put this back in here. Okay. What was the other mistake I was going to show you? Oh yeah. What if, let's imagine I'm using a smaller photo, okay? Now I'm using my shift key to make sure I do not change the X and Y on there. And then I will be sure by telling it to fit. I'm going to say fill frame proportionally because I knew it was just about full. Proportionally, in other words. You know, it keeps the proportions. Here I am with my photo and my cut line. And I'm going to close my box up, and I decide, wouldn't this look nice kind of in the middle? How about in these two columns over here and down here like this? And then I'll close it up, and eventually we'll get it to fit down here and bring this down. A little bit up here and up here. I just want to put that photo in the middle. And is that okay? You know, if you've been doing your reading, you would know the answer to these questions. And the answer, of course, is no. That is not okay. It is not okay to make the reader jump over a photo. Isn't something like this sometimes done in magazines? Something sort of like this might sort of be done in magazines. It's not quite like that. And anyway, magazines are a different animal. And we would, and honestly, we wouldn't do it like this anyway. So we do not jump over the photo. How about putting the photo down here at the bottom? Whoops. See that? I grabbed the middle of the photo. How about, I have to click off, click on again, make sure I have the picture and not its contents grabbed. How about putting it down here someplace like that? No, the relationship between the story and the photo is not as clear anymore. Keep your photos under the heads. And in the case of vertical layouts, remember that's where we're going to have photo, caption, headline, story. Okay, if it's a big photo, the photo's not inset in the copy. That's all right. We don't just start putting photos down below for no reason. Okay, so that's a big run through that stuff. Okay, so let's look at the assignment. Here's the assignment. Using the Snake Boy text and photos as usual, except now we're going to use a photo number 6 and photo number 1. And honestly, we're going to use a pull quote from that pile also. Sorry, mugshot, a half-column mug from that also. So there's actually 3 photos, not 2. This says 2 photos, but we're actually using 3. All normal styling, spacing guidelines, and so on. So your normal inside pages, your name of the folio. You're going to make this page. I'm giving you this dummy here. See, it's over 5 columns. Get it's 4 sticks of copy over 5. That's so it's an odd measure. It's got a big 5-column photo up here. This is the main photo, Snake Boy 1. It's got a cut line you have to have. It's got a 5-column 48-point head. It's got some odd measure headline here, probably 3 decks. If you write it in 2, that's fine. Then we have the copy, but I want you to add subheads. The instructions say pull quote, half-column mug, and subheads. I'll show you about subheads here. Good. And then and the half-column mug. Okay. I kind of have it sort of done here already, but I'll show it to you. Where is it? Here it is. Sort of like this. Okay. So I did. We'll take that out and that out and show you where these come from. These are half-column mugs. Oh, sorry, these are quote refers. And here's the half-column mug. So these photos, you recognize them and you know where to find them and so on. Good. Something weird there. No, it still says top. Okay. I guess I just did not properly align it or whatever. Okay. And of course, you'll know where to get these cut lines. Make sure the cut lines don't repeat each other. This is the boy. This is the father. It's the same snake, though. Okay, good. Normal byline 1, byline 2, body copy. But what are these guys here? What are these guys? This is how this works. Subheads, or some people call them chapter heads, are little internal dividers in the story. And they're good to use for a few reasons. In this layout, it's going to be tough to use more than 2, maybe 3, probably 2. I would go into the story, I would zoom in, I would read that area of the story, I'd find something in that area of the story that I wanted to make mention of, to pull out, make it special. I would put 2 blank lines there. In this blank line here, I'm going to type or copy and paste that thing in. How about they grew up together, slithered into the family home, discovered the reptile, and then about the size of a thumb, crawled beneath the woven mat. They grew up together. How about that? This is not a quote in this case, so I'm not going to use quote marks. The one above it was a quote, came from a quote, you'll see. So there's quote marks, single quote marks. Quote marks are in headlines or subheads are always single quotes. Okay, so this is not a quote, though. This is going to be grew up together. So we're essentially pointing out that fact. And I'm going to go to paragraph styles. I'm going to go to subhead. There it is right there. So it's a styling makes it all capped and makes it centered. Okay, so you're going to do subheads, at least 1 on each side of this. Probably there's not enough space down here to do any. I've done 2 here. I mean, you do these because there's a meaning behind them, but you don't just put one right on top of another either. So you do kind of put them around visually to make them interesting. Those are going to give you pivot points you can use, though, also for your for making things fit properly. Okay, pull quotes. Quote refer it's called in here, I believe, right? Yeah, quote refer. That's these guys here. Okay, so the way these work is they already have some interesting text wrap applied to them. You can go look at it if you wish by clicking on it and look at the text wrap panel. The way these work is you're going to, I'm suggesting you do one down here. It's going to be a piece of text from the story, ideally a quote. I'm going to use this piece of text down here. You do what you want. You can use a quote from there's a special bond between them. That would be a good one. How about Snake Boy has become a tradition in JOU318? That's a quote from me, actually. You do not need to use that one. So I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to open him up a little bit so you can see that. I'm going to select inside here. I'm not going to just paste. I'm going to do I could do it with a right click. Shoot. Right click. And it's going to be paste without formatting, which is Control-Shift-V. And it's quotation marks, so I have to put quotation marks on it. If I just did a paste, what would happen? I'll do it in this one right here. I'll just select this paragraph. I paste. It's taking my style text from the story and putting it in here. So anyway, and then I'm going to say, I'm just going to put the person's name here, which in this case is me. And you can change the shape of this box. I want to make it a little bit wider and shallower because I don't have a lot of depth. And I'm going to go stick it right in here, like right below there. And move it sideways so it's splitting that column nicely. And it's centered. If I did it on this side over here, which would be fine, I would do it like this. I would have it ragged on the left side. If I did it on this side over here, which would be fine, I would do it like this. I would align it this way and make it like this. So I like to push the white space to the outside. So if I did a quote over here, it'd be like that. A quote over here would be like that. A quote down here would be like this. And if I need more space around it, I could add that more with text wrap. Okay, so you did subheads, you saw them. We did quotes and we saw, reefer quotes and we saw them. Oh, the odd measure, remember that's here. This is 4 sticks. Or Control B will get you to that place where there's 4 sticks. We've done that before. Okay, this is a pull quote, which is also one of your photos that you have in the Snakeboy package. But you don't just pull a photo out. I'm really strongly suggest you go ahead and use the half column mug shape here and then pull a photo into that, which can be a little bit awkward. It's grouped, you'll see, like truly grouped. So you may find yourself ungrouping it first and then regrouping it, or you can try to get your click into that and then do a Control D and then go find the photo, which I'd have to go find all my Snakeboy photos. Which, do I have them all handy here? Actually, I do. There's the mug right there. And I still want to fit it to make sure there wasn't any gaps or anything, but it looks like it's already sized just that size. Good. And I had to get the name. I had to click in here, and I could type the name. ORNSAMBATH. Mine, for some reason, here is coming on 2 lines, but that's okay. I didn't put an enter in there, did I? Yeah, that's right. I must have by accident. All right. And I could just now drag and drop this. Now this whole thing is still grouped. I could drag and drop this thing over here someplace. Notice that where I put it, I'm trying to make it break the lines evenly. I got this problem with the box being a little open a little too much here. I could try to go into this one and close it up a little bit. Because it was only one. Control Z. It was only one line. And then I would move it around until I got the lines to break the way I wanted them to. Or add some more text wrap maybe. Text wrap is a little tight on the top and bottom there. Which probably is okay. But and then, wow, I got just about the right number of lines. I would line this whole thing up. And have I done everything? Let's go see. I think so. Cut lines. And pull quote and half column mug and subheads. Oh yeah, the subheads. So I want to tell you that you could go in here. Let's say I decide that I want to bring this line up, just up a tiny bit. I've decided to track this out so I get those words down there nicely so I don't have that bad little line there. If I use this blank line, now I can use leading. I'm using a blank line. And I just add a little bit. Actually, I want to go the other way, sorry. Just remove a little bit. Boom. That's about lined up right there. And I can do the same thing in this one here. But I got 2 of them here. I could actually do a little bit in each one if I wanted to. That is lined up. Boom. Just like that. So we would never use leading in regular copy, but in blank line, which is one of the other good reasons to think about using subheads. But they're good ways to get into a story too. But remember, before you do any sizing up, write your heads and your cut lines too, and get them positioned properly. Okay, that's about it.